Great. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We have a couple of some movements going on here with Bitcoin. I shorted Bitcoin yesterday. Bad move. It went up all the way to our resistance level, 84,720 was the highest point. I have mine drawn at 84,500 approximately, which serves just as fine. We rose all the way there during the midnight. We had a midnight pump overnight. I'm not late. I went to the bathroom, so that's why I was late. Anyway, we now have Bitcoin. Well, it did drop right over here at 6 o'clock. Why did it drop at 6 o'clock? Because we had some important news come out at 6 o'clock. Things were... Invest in chicken jockey coin. No, don't invest in that. Invest in Bitcoin instead. So at 6 o'clock, we had news from China giving its response to the tariffs, right? I guess retaliatory tariffs. We'll talk more about that in a second. But it seems like the pump before that was probably due to the fact that, hey, look, China hasn't responded to the tariffs yet. Not a lot of countries have responded as negatively toward the, reciprocal tariffs that were announced on Liberation Day, April 2nd, 2 days ago. So people were thinking, you know what? Who cares about the stock market? We'll just pump Bitcoin and whatever. But suddenly, then we got those retaliatory tariffs come out from China, causing the price to drop all the way over here. And we were also expecting, the information from the unemployment data and non-farm payroll data, which we got. It was good. It was good data. We saw a bit of a recovery from there. Bit of volatility around 10 and 11 from Fed Chair Powell. But overall, his speech was also very dovish. So we ended up recovering greatly from that. But the stock market did not. Stock market actually had a really, really bad day today. A crash as bad as COVID, some people would say, right? But I think the recovery will be similar to what happened back in COVID. So we can agree there, hopefully. Bitcoin is still hovering around 83,989, almost 84,000 there. And this is still telling me it's supposed to be in a downtrend, but the price is well above that, so we're in an indecision point. It is currently curving up the 50 exponential moving average. So if we do get a golden cross, likely around 83,600, 500, I'm not sure. If we are able to maintain ourselves above this area, which I'm not sure we will actually be able to hold on to that for much longer. Couple reasons why, or maybe we can, I don't know. Maybe price stays flat. Price will stay flat over the weekend, which is confirmed. But we might get some responses from other countries as well. Maybe they're formulating a plan. China, for example, took their time to decide what to retaliate and how, right? Causing a drop like this of, 2.35% in 1 hour? Brutal stuff, right? But the good news is we have not dropped under 82,000, right? 81,200, sorry. And from there, this area right over here, it's serving as a really good support. And we have not touched this zone over here, which I've mentioned this before. There's a lot of buy orders down there. A lot of liquidity. That's where the money is sitting, the buy orders. So, well, myself included, right? That's probably the reason why we haven't seen too much of a crazy drop. The sell pressure is practically all gone for Bitcoin. I do think a reversal in the trend is coming soon. Where is this? This could probably be the uptrend that we follow from now on. Hopefully, I'm not sure. Only time will tell, of course. Couple things are on our side. Super trend in the 4-hour chart, bullish. Next thing is the fact that we broke the downtrend, but we immediately corrected back from that. Giving two situations here. The downtrend now becomes weaker. We formed a new, an extension of this downtrend, which I guess technically still works, right? From our all-time high level, okay? And on top of that, it's not as elongated, right? So we can easily break out of that one as well. We've already reached this resistance at 88,700, right? the highest point that we have over here. We know that we will no longer drop under this. Hopefully not. A couple of reasons why. First of all, it is a support. Second of all, it's not protected by this new uptrend that we are forming at the moment. If it does, then this whole thing would be invalidated and the 4-hour super trend would flip bearish if we drop under 80,000, which a drop under 80,000 for this month I don't think is likely. We're going to stay low down here. Maybe we'll slowly recover over here. We might get a pump all the way to 89, 90,000. We're not going to break 90,000 though. 89,300 probably be the highest point if we ever do reach that, or else 88,700, the highest point resistance that we've formed over here. And we can come back down once again, right? But by May, that's when things should start rising once again. End of month over here, right? It just makes sense. The uptrend is pointing towards that. May, we should start seeing the 90,000s. I would be surprised if we do see the 90,000s this month in April. It could be possible. I don't know. We have got a whole month to go. And, oh, well, okay. Yeah, I'm thinking of stuff ahead of time. Rate cuts. Rate cuts are going to happen. We probably got 5 rate cuts coming this year. I know that's a big surprise now. Crazy stuff. We'll go and review that stuff later. But yeah, currently we're stuck at this resistance. It is indeed a resistance, right? This level right over here. We'll see what happens. Yeah, likely we stay here or decay over time for this weekend. Tomorrow's Saturday, so it's not going to be that eventful. Like I said, unless some country decides to provide some retaliatory tariffs, we may see a drop, but no lower than 81,000. Hopefully not. 80,000 would be the most important support as well. If this uptrend does break, we would then have to just simply readjust it like that, if that would be the case. This uptrend is just very recently formed, so it's easily breakable as well. I wouldn't rely too heavily on it, but it may be the start of something large. Just keep that in mind as well. We already have worst case scenarios. Of course, things can continue dropping crazily, and if they do, I'm supposed to have an uptrend drawn, but it's vanished, so let me draw that again. It's this uptrend from August 5 recession fear. We were literally, you know, the fear of recession is what's causing Bitcoin to drop significantly like this in most cases. Got a lot of lines over here, I'm sorry. This hurts your brain or something. I didn't mean to move that. So yeah, this is the other uptrend that I'm referring to. So back to my 4-hour chart here. And let me just enlarge this so it doesn't look too crazy. I think it looks really crazy, doesn't it? Too many lines. So regardless, 80,000, likely not going to drop under that. Super trend confirms this, and this uptrend that I drew that uses this low point in March 10 and last year, August 5, that uptrend is still holding up strong. This one could be the one that we follow for now, but it's still breakable. Just keep that in mind. This one, though, I would rely on this one much heavier, the lower uptrend. First of all, because it comes from a longer time period, and it's at a lower level as well. I would rely on it better than this. So these two lines are likely to be removed if we just stay sideways for a moment. But these two lines is where some breakout must happen by end of April, likely. Which kind of coincides with what's going to happen in May, I would assume. I'm expecting price to be like around over here by end of the month. I know it seems like not much is going to happen, but we're all just waiting, I guess. Waiting for economic data, waiting for country responses, waiting to see what Trump does. All that information, you know, it's important to pay attention to. Yeah, so that's what we got so far. Up 1% today, 83,900 for Bitcoin. Next, Solana. Solana had a drop to, a couple of days ago I showed, 112 was the lowest point. We have recovered since then. We are now 122. Not that great. I would like to see us above 125. Our resistance that we have is at 130. This resistance from its all-time high still serves well, coincides with resistance 2 of the pivots at 155. That's another important resistance. And first resistance is at 140. So still got a long way to go for Solana. Super trend has not flipped bullish yet. We're waiting for confirmation from Ethereum. Ethereum does have to break 2,000 in order for alts to do something significant. Why? We have resistance 1 here, psychologic level of 2,000, and also serves as previous resistance and support levels very well. Super trend will flip, and downtrend will have to break as well. It kind of did break, but I'd probably have to readjust it, this downtrend. Similar deal with what I did with Bitcoin over here. Just this little blip right over here. That's much better. So a 10% pump, so much. It seems like so much, and I don't even know if Ethereum will even reach its 4,000 mark because it has to duplicate, more than duplicate its price. Its market cap, its etc. You know, you get the point. This was spooky. The fact that Ethereum did break this uptrend, and I feel like I keep delaying it, right? This uptrend used to be over here. It kind of broke it over here, so I readjusted it here. But then it also just happened right over here. This is just getting more and more shallow every time, this uptrend. But it's a very long-term one. Like, this line comes from 2023, I think. 2020, never mind. Bounces in 2022. That's the importance of this line right over here. Would I have to readjust it here, maybe? No, I don't think so, right? I mean, I could technically do this. It is just going to make things a little more inclined, I think. If my spatial ability serves me correctly. Oh, look at this. I had a nice little circle drawn over here. That's pretty funny. Expecting Ethereum to rise to 2,600. It's not going to happen for a while now. Don't get your hopes up. Ethereum needs to beat Bitcoin in terms of, you know, the Ethereum-Bitcoin correlation. Bitcoin dominance would have to drop. Bitcoin dominance is fairly high still. This is just comparing the price, the market cap of Bitcoin compared to the market cap of the rest of the market. 60% of the crypto market cap is in Bitcoin. 62%, right? So that means people are scared to hold their altcoins. They're holding some, if they want to hold crypto, they will hold something safer. What's more safer than Bitcoin, right? This is, you know, indicators of when a potential alt season would happen is when this Bitcoin dominance drops, meaning that people are selling off their Bitcoin, and if they're still going to be investing in the crypto market, they would invest into the other coins, every other coin, altcoins, Ethereum, Solana, Binance, Ripple, Cardano, etc. So for now, this just keeps on rising. People are scared to invest into their altcoins. It also explains the reason why my portfolio, maybe your portfolio as well, is down, because altcoins are just at such a very low level. Is it a good chance to accumulate them? Absolutely. But there's still people that are a little scared, I would say. It all depends on what Bitcoin does first. Bitcoin first needs to follow what I said, I guess. Not drop below 80,000. Stay around here. If it goes above 90,000, that's better. It's fine. But by May, likely we'll see the blast off that I show you guys. Following M2 money supply, or end of month April, I'll accept that as well. We'll be rising to the 90,000s again. Optimism will spark back in. Ethereum will be above 2,000 once again. It'll start rising. I hope so. There's, you know, we have Trump and his family holding a lot of Ethereum. Of course, something has to happen with Ethereum. And it's still one of the largest use cases for decentralized apps, decentralized exchanges, etc. I know Solana may have been popular at one point, or it's probably a little better, you know, less fees, a little quicker, etc. But there's a lot of competition with the rest of the altcoins. That's why they exist, right? Those other projects, you have Sui that's even better than Solana, for example, right? But you still see Sui a little bit low compared to the rest. I'll get to Sui in a second, but yeah, Ethereum would have to rise first. People will see, okay, Bitcoin is rising, Ethereum is rising, altcoin season is likely going to be coming back now. As people, you know, Bitcoin, of course, will be the first to make another all-time high. And then we'll have people taking profits and diversifying into altcoins as well from there. That's how the cycle would work. That's enough of that. XRP it's rising again. It treated this area very neatly. I think I did readjust the uptrend a little bit. It seems like a little readjustment had to be done for most of these, right? Readjustment of the uptrends. Support level at 195, 196. That has been met, and it's currently headed on its way back up once again. From here, we didn't reach the low point of 189. Now, what's important to see is where we can see resistances for XRP. In the short term, we'll just draw this little fib zone. From that high to this low, we just broke out of one of the resistances, so we're on our way to the high points of this zone right over here between 219, 222. We have an important pivot point at 222. It's also a good zone. Well, 223. And it also coincides with this high point that we reached April 2nd. This happened all during Liberation Day speech from Trump while he was announcing the tariffs. Next, we got SUI up 1%. Oh, I didn't mention the percentage. Yeah, XRP is up 3%, by the way. Okay, SUI 1%. It stayed within this range down over here, it seems like, between 228 and 215. The lowest point was 2 and 12. Current price is 226. Not too bad. But I'd like to see it above at least 240. Where's 240? Right over here. So yeah, that would be the next resistance it'll have to break out of. Still considered in a downtrend though. But it's maintaining the uptrend fairly well. Probably going to have to do a small readjustment with this as well. There you go. That's your readjustment. It still looks very valid. So we'll keep that going for SUI. Cardano is up 2.47%. Doesn't seem like a lot of movement here though. And like every downtrend and uptrend has already been gone and broken, so I don't even know what to do with Cardano anymore. We have this absurd downtrend, which I guess is fair enough. We'll follow that for now. And we formed a new low as well, so that would invalidate this. It's such a large movement. It's too volatile. I wouldn't even consider this anymore. Sure, we'll just keep that there then for now. No zones other than the pivots that we have showing Cardano within this range. Let me... Yeah, there you go. Between 62 cents and 69 cents. That's where we have the pivots at 70 and 62. There you go. Litecoin is at $84.57, up 1.54%. Similar deal. This support is not really doing anything, so I'll remove it. This resistance slash support is kind of working. We might be heading there next. 86.99, almost 87. I'll adjust this to 87 just so it's easier to read. There you go. This is the next level we should be paying attention for. In terms of any trends, we are obviously still in the downtrend. This support has not yet been broken. It kind of bounced over here, so I guess it's still valid to keep it there. In terms of uptrends, good luck finding one. I could try very long term. I dislike this price action so much. Like, no, there's realistically no uptrend to be drawn over here. Any shorter term ones have already been erased. We just have to deal with this downtrend right over here. So that's what we'll do for now. Keeping Litecoin in check. Alright, there's your technical analysis. Let's go review what happened in the markets today. Today was an important day, as I mentioned. We had U.S. March jobs report released at 8:30 a.m. Fed Chair Powell was going to speak on economic outlook at 11:30 a.m. So that brought some volatility to the markets. So what happened? First of all, at 6 a.m., the reason why we had Bitcoin, while it was rising, drop significantly like this was due to China's response. They already had what was their percentage? They had a 67% tariff, I think, on the United States. On top of that, they put a 34% tariff. Does that equal 100%? It does, right? They have imposed export controls on 7 types of rare earth minerals as well. They know that rare earth metals are important for President Trump. That was one of the main deals that Trump was trying to have with Ukraine, for example. He was asking Ukraine, hey, give me your rare earth minerals if you can't repay the US debt, right? So I don't think that was ever signed yet. I don't really know what's going on in Russia, Ukraine anymore. It's more of like they're in these peace talks, quote unquote, but I think the war is still kind of going on in the background. I don't know. We don't hear much about it anymore. I mean, Russia's already been sanctioned. That's one of the reasons why they've avoided the tariffs in one way. Yeah, some people complaining about that, but it's whatever. So in news of this, Nasdaq 100 index futures fell over 600 points after China hit the US imports with sweeping 34% tariffs, and crypto markets also saw a decline following that news, which happened at 6 a.m. today. This drop right over here. So that explains that. It's a 20% drop from its all-time high for Nasdaq, which means that it officially entered a bear market. That's one of the rules that investors use, is if something drops 20% from its all-time high, you're officially in a bear market, in a downtrend, in a whatever recession. I don't know what you want to call it. And it happened that way for a couple of indices, right? I think Russell 2000 and maybe the S&P 500. I'm not sure. I don't really look at indices too much, but it's still good to, pay attention to them once in a while. It gives you a broad understanding of where the U.S. economy, well, how the U.S. companies are performing in this economy would be the answer. Now, Trump responded to all of this, the China response to the tariffs. He said that China played it wrong. They panicked. He said this is the one thing they cannot afford to do after the 34% tariffs were imposed on U.S. imports. He said that they played it wrong, they panicked, the one thing they cannot afford to do, on a Truth Social post. Does this mean that Trump is going to retaliatory tariff China again? Increase the tariffs on it? Probably. We don't know yet. We don't know what the response is other than probably this. U.S. bans romantic relationships with Chinese citizens for government employees in China. If you're a government employee, you cannot have a Chinese wife or husband. It's no Asian girls for you. Non-farm payroll and employment numbers came out today. NFP came in at 228,000 new jobs. We were expecting 135,000. Previously, it was 151,000. So we were actually expecting a decline, but we got a surprise of an increase in new jobs, which is a good thing for the economy, right? Unemployment is at 4.2%. So unemployment rose a little bit as well. I don't know. The numbers kind of go against each other in a sense, but overall, it's still good for the markets. Unemployment, 4.2%, that's fine. It's still low. And the non-farm payroll data comes at 228,000, which is a lot more jobs being created, which means that the tariffs are kind of working, probably. If more companies come into the United States, they create more jobs for Americans, etc. This would technically, I guess, strengthen the dollar in some way. But it's still like going down because of the retaliatory tariffs, especially from China. We still got $3.25 trillion that got wiped out from the US stock market today. And on the other side, though, $5.4 billion was added to the crypto market instead. We had a bit of a green day today, right? Now, in lieu of this, Trump sees that economic data and says, hey, you know what? This would be the perfect time for Powell to stop playing politics and cut interest rates. Powell has had 2 days to digest this mess, and he's been told to stop playing politics. That's pretty funny. He mentioned this in Truth Social post. It would be a perfect time for Fed Chairman Jerome Powell to cut interest rates. He's always late, but he can now change his image, and quickly. Energy prices are down, interest rates are down, inflation is down, even eggs are down 69%, and jobs are up, all within 2 months. A big win for America. Cut interest rates, Jerome, and stop playing politics is what Trump says. Which I agree with that. he had his speech today, and this is in summary what was said. Tariffs are bigger than expected and risk higher inflation, contrary to what Trump says, which would cause slower growth. Also, contrary to what the economic data showed as well, because, I mean, sure, we have a 0.1% of unemployment increase, but we've added like a huge amount of new jobs. He says that it's too soon to determine an appropriate policy path. That I could agree with. We still have to see what other countries respond to Trump tariffs, see if the US economy indeed improves, if more companies move into the country of the United States to generate more jobs, more employment, if the tariffs do work out, right? That's all, only time will tell if all of this works. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't put it past Trump because I've read Art of the Deal. I know he's really good at this stuff. He's probably, and he's been talking about it for years, like I mentioned in yesterday's stream. So he's been cooking this for a very long time. The Fed is well positioned to wait for greater clarity, is also what he said. Tariffs could have a persistent inflation impact. With inflation, you cannot cut rates. Without inflation, yeah, you can start cutting rates. No, I must ensure price hikes don't lead to ongoing inflation as well. And he mentioned the Truth Social tweet. 10 minutes before his speech, President Trump accused Powell of always being late to cut rates. That could make some sense, especially given the fact that last year we saw a 50 basis point rate cut that seemed a little bit like an emergency rate cut, right? You guys remember that was back in what, September? I think it was September. We had a 50 basis point rate cut, and that's what we also saw a drop during those days after August drop, right? Because of August 5 drop, that's the reason why we had a 50 basis point rate cut. We should have cut in July, is what everybody was saying. July 30. But no. Anyways, now we are seeing Powell saying that he's willing to wait to see what happens. So US stocks are extending losses. That's also a bit of a conflict of interest that we have over here. Because Trump says, yo, hurry up, like, get the rate cuts going. But Powell's like, no, it's okay, don't worry. We'll see how things go. We'll take our time and we'll cut when it's appropriate. I don't know. I hope that it's not late as well and that we don't get a repeat of last year, what happened in September, where we get that 50 basis point rate cut because, oh, you should have cut in the previous meeting. It should have been a 25 basis point and then the next meeting another 25. Instead of in one late meeting, you do both at the same time, a 50 basis point rate cut. It's going to scare some people as well. Like, oh, does the Fed even know what they're doing kind of deal. The CME Fed Watch Group, let me find the percentages for the next rate cuts. Yesterday, we saw an increase from 3 to 4. Today, I think I saw 5 today. If this can load, please load. Is it actually not going to load? I think it's down. Are you crazy? Come on now. Why won't it work? I'll leave it here anyway, just in case it loads later. It's still loading on the browser tab it shows, so I think it's stopped now. Okay, there we go. Okay, look at that. We even have a decreased chance of seeing the rates stay the same for the upcoming meeting. We now have a 66 to 33% chance. 33% chance we might see a rate cut. This used to be a much higher number, like the chance of us staying without a rate cut, it was like at 80%. It's dropping now. So, next meeting could, for now, stay the same in May. In June meeting, we're going to get one rate cut. Okay, 75% chance. In July, 82% chance of another rate cut. That's 2 rate cuts. In September, we're getting a 90% chance of another rate cut. That's 3 rate cuts. October, things stay the same. 60%. It stays the same. But 60-40, I mean, I wouldn't put it past those odds. It seems like we could get another rate cut there, but not confirmed yet. And December, 97% chance of another rate cut. That's 4 rate cuts. Okay. Percentage has changed. There you go. So we got 4 rate cuts still for this year. These numbers change all the time. Last update, it shows like, do we see over here when it was last updated? Yeah, as of literally 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago approximately. Yeah. So still got 32 days for the next meeting. Still got some time for Powell to digest the information, the new economic data that will be coming out every month, I guess, every couple of weeks as well. But this is what mainly caused markets to fall in fear. The chance of a recession, right? People are scared. Are we going to have a recession? Is the market going to just drop forever? JP Morgan Bank warns that there's a 60% chance now that the US will fall into a recession this year. This percentage was a little less. Like the percentage was there before, but they've increased it to a 60% chance. Jerome Powell was asked about this during a speech, little bits that I saw. And he mentioned something along the lines of, oh, the Fed, we don't have a specific percentage on if we were going to see a recession or not. But we have seen outside sources increase their chances. So, you know, that might still be the case. But for now, like the economy is still showing that it's strong. So he doesn't think we're in a recession. That kind of alleviated some things, right? So, you know, Jerome Powell came in clutch twice in a row now, saving the markets from dropping, it seems like, a little further. Robert Kiyosaki, though, thinks that this was the drop, this was the crash that he has been warning. If you know him and his tweets, he's always tweeting something like, we're going to get a crash soon, a big crash is going to come. And he's been saying that for a while now, but it seems like it's finally here, he says. I should not say this because it's not cool to say that I told you so, but I did tell you so, is what he said. In the Rich Dad's prophecy, he warned the biggest stock market crash in history was going to wipe out the financial security of millions of investors, especially my generation, the baby boomers. That stock market crash arrived today. He thinks that we're definitely in a recession, and more likely a depression. That's a bit spooky. It's 2025, 100 years ago, approximately 100 years, I think, is when we had the Great Depression, right? When was the Great Depression? I spelled depression wrong. 1929. Okay, sure. We're 4 years off. 96 years ago, we had this Great Depression. Maybe it comes once 100 years? I don't know. What can a person do? Oh, wait, sorry, I didn't read this. Why was I warning boomers? Because boomers are out of time, or as pilots say, they are running out of runway. They do not have time to invest for the long term in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, or ETFs. What can a person do? As he's been suggesting for years, looking at non-Wall Street assets. He's telling you guys to save real money, real gold, silver, Bitcoin. Why? Because after this paper market crash wipes out millions of fake paper assets, odds are the Fed and Treasury will turn the printing presses on full speed, printing trillions in fake money, which becomes even more fake and real money. Gold, silver, Bitcoin will go up in value in spite of this. Of course, they are all hedges against inflation. That's the purpose of it. Bitcoin is the digital gold, right? Supposed to go against the dollar in that case. To get us out of a recession, yeah, you do have to turn on the money printer. Remember, gold, silver, Bitcoin are not going up in price right now. They're not going up in price. What's happening instead is that the dollar is going down in value. This makes sense because if, like I always mention, you're measuring Bitcoin against the US dollar. If US dollar strengthens, Bitcoin goes down, right? If US dollar weakens, Bitcoin goes up. And that seems to be what's been happening within these past couple of hours. This only happened because of a fear of China thing at 6 a.m. If you still have some runway left, you might want to save real money, which is gold, silver, Bitcoin. Silver also had a big drop today, and so did gold, actually. Gold actually, where is it? 2% drop from its all-time high. It was reaching all-time high levels 2 days ago, 3,167. It's currently 3,037 an ounce. And what is silver at? XAG? USD? Silver, oh my gosh, look at this drop. This isn't a daily chart, by the way. It went from being, what, 34 cents, like last week. Today it's 29. Why did I say cents? It's dollars, sorry. $34 to $29. There you go. Kiyosaki has predicted that silver can reach $70, I think he said, this year. So I don't know. Maybe those are good buying opportunities. When will you ever see silver drop this low once again? And I have shared this post like that in the past, so it's up to you to decide that. Why is Coinbase trending? I'll check that out later. Jim Cramer, Ambrose Cramer, potentially, says that Trump tariffs really screwed it up. If you know this guy, you know that everything that he says, the opposite happens. He's famous on TV for this. He says that Trump tariffs are going to screw things up. This means, confirmed, that Trump tariffs will work. It's a joke. We don't know. Coinbase, what's happening? World Liberty Fi to USD. It's not tradable on Coinbase. Okay. That seems like nothing major. They're also launching regulated XRP futures. I did see that news as well. But that's it. All right. Trump says that every country has called to negotiate tariffs. Oh yeah, so back to that point. The Trump tariffs will likely work. He's already getting some responses, right? Some countries are willing to negotiate stuff around to avoid these tariffs because, like, smaller countries, they can't afford these tariffs in most cases. So it's good that Trump's kind of getting his way. Or the art of the deal. There you go. Now, this is also an important point that I've mentioned. Global M2 money supply versus Bitcoin. Okay, that's one part. But compare all of these, well, those two, Bitcoin M2. Compare that to the stock market, the S&P 500, which measures the top 500 companies in the United States by market cap. And it, gets an average out of that. So that has dropped because all US companies have been dropping like crazy. So will the local bottom be in around April 6th? We'll see the white dotted line right over here. Local bottom, it's likely from this right over here, the lowest point of the M2 money supply. M2 money supply just measures the total amount of money that exists in the world, right? China, United States, Bitcoin, gold, everything, all combined. Now, what it's saying over here is if you take that level, the price level of the M2 money supply, you push it forward 108 days, it has this scarily accurate correlation with Bitcoin, right? Every time it rises, Bitcoin rises. Every time it drops, Bitcoin drops. It also predicted this mini rally that fails kind of deal. And we might continue to see one more drop, a bottom, the lowest point of the M2 money supply. If you push it 108 days forward, it happens to be on April 6th. April 6th is Sunday. It's a Sunday. Hey, maybe something China does will cause markets to just one more drop. From there, we can see a recovery, stay below over here, recovery a little bit, according to the M2 money supply. We're just using this as an indicator toward the upcoming future, just a little bit, right? Getting a general idea of where the money is going to go, right? So it could be that a bottom will be on April 6th. That's what this is predicting right over here. Stocks are notably taking a worse hit than Bitcoin. Bitcoin has thus far remained impressively resilient. One of the reasons why is because even Michael Saylor has tweeted this from MicroStrategy. He said, there's no tariffs on Bitcoin, right? And also the fact that, okay, you're going to trade stuff between countries. You can do it with Bitcoin, which is decentralized. Yeah, you wouldn't have to pay any tariffs, right? If you're sending or making payments with Bitcoin. That's just one thing. And also like the fact that, okay, countries are in this trade war. What does that have to do with Bitcoin? Bitcoin is its own thing, right? So people are realizing that, Bitcoin is not a company. Bitcoin's not an institution. It's not a bank. It's its own thing. It's a currency, right? It should be rising. Another thing that would also confirm Bitcoin's rise is the fact that it trails how gold moves, right? One thing I've mentioned is it also, follows the movement of what gold does. Let's just say that this was the 76,000 point of Bitcoin. This was the 88,000 of Bitcoin. I would say we're currently right around over here, right? We might see one more drop, April 6th. But then from there, I don't know. We stay sideways for the rest of the month of April. A little bit of a rise. And then May 1st, according as well to M2 money supply, this green line right over here is likely when things will start to shoot upwards once again. It has to. M2 blast up begins in May, the green dotted line. Will Bitcoin and the stocks follow? That is the big question. Of course, we can't predict the future. We don't know. This is just something we noticed, little patterns that we're noticing that could indicate something large in the upcoming month. It's not an observation. It's just an observation, sorry. It's not a prediction, right? So yeah, that's a little note that I want to show you guys. Retail investors, they're buying the dip. They bought $4.7 billion in stocks yesterday, the most in a decade. Congratulations, they dropped even more, but it's fine. I hope they bought more. And this is also an important video that Trump put out as to why the markets are crashing and his master plan behind all this. I'll narrate the video. So he's crashing the stock markets but he's doing it on purpose. And this is where Buffett just said Trump is making the best economic moves he's seen in over 50 years. Now here's a secret game he's playing, and it can make you rich. So why is he doing this? To push cash into treasuries, which forces the Fed fund the ability to refinance trillions of debt very inexpensively, right? When stocks start crashing, people would buy safe assets instead. They don't want risky stuff. They would buy something safe. What is safe? Government bonds. Why? Because they're not as volatile and they will give you practically a guaranteed rate of return, although it is not large. It's a low risk, low return kind of deal. Until things start improving once again, then people will start moving into medium risk assets like stocks, and then high risk assets once again, like crypto, right? But if you buy treasury bonds, it's like the government debt, right? You're helping them pay off kind of deal. And in return, they'll give you a small percentage back from that. So that's something that he could use to help pay off some of the US debt inexpensively. It also weakens the dollars and drops mortgage rates. It could be a wild chess move, but it's working. Now you're probably wondering as well with the tariffs. The tariffs is also a genius play. I've mentioned this before. It forces companies to bring their companies into the United States to dodge tariffs. And it also forces farmers to sell more of their products here in the US instead of exporting it to other countries, which would also drop the prices of groceries like we have already seen with eggs, right? Remember, 94% of all the stocks are owned by 8% of Americans. So Trump says that he's taking from the rich short term, handing it to the middle class through lower prices. This is the message to the middle class, I guess. Look, prices have been overinflated for this amount of time, ever since Biden was in office, etc. We can agree, right? Stock market was always hitting new all-time highs every time. It's probably because it was very overvalued. Now that we've had this big correction, some of them are even entering a bear territory, is what we're saying. We're hearing, right? Especially NASDAQ, etc. So now's probably the chance for the middle class to start accumulating. This is probably the buy signal. Hopefully. I don't know. This is something that Trump actually posted on Truth Social, by the way, a TikTok video explaining all that. So yeah, that's important. Klaus Schwab will step down as World Economic Forum chairman. I don't think anyone cares. European Union is going to fine Elon Musk's Twitter over $1 billion for spreading disinformation. I'm spreading disinformation to you guys. Trump is signing an executive order to extend the TikTok ban deadline. That's also one thing. There's been a lot of bidding over who is going to buy TikTok in order for it to stay legal in the United States, right? Because, we know it's currently owned by China, and we don't want China's spyware in the United States. So we need a US company to buy it. We've had some options from Amazon, from, I think, Rumble, was also going to buy, I don't remember, Meta, I think OnlyFans, a lot of other companies that were probably going to buy TikTok. The bill passed by Congress required that it be sold by April 5th, was the deadline, which is tomorrow. But it was passed by an overwhelming majority then, but I'm doubtful anyone's going to fight the extension too hard. So we're going to need a bit more time to figure out who will be the next owner of TikTok, right? World Liberty Financial has sent 213,000 USDT, so it's practically $200,000, to a wallet linked with American NFT deployer. Hey, maybe NFTs will make a comeback. I don't know. They're investing a lot of weird stuff. Ethereum, NFTs. What's happening with World Liberty Financial? Speaking of delays as well, Circle, USDC creator from Coinbase, is reportedly delaying its IPO process. They were about to release on the stock market, but they're delaying the process of release. So nothing yet. Grayscale has filed an updated S1 application with the Securities Exchange Commissions for a spot Solana ETF. That's kind of good news. It's good news. Solana will likely be getting an ETF, right? The application is there. It's been there a couple times. I don't know what's going on. But the kind of bad news is that it's from Grayscale. And if you know me well, you know that we don't like Grayscale. Why? Because they do this. What am I looking at here? Grayscale. Okay, here it is. Why is this only showing a very tiny amount? Oh, I'm looking at wrong numbers. Okay, this is the total amount. Pay attention to this number. $22 billion of outflows in Bitcoin in total ever since its inception for Grayscale ETF, right? Grayscale GBTC outflow $22 billion. This is measuring in millions in units, right? Like this number would be 37 million. 11,000 million, that's 11 billion, right? So almost $40 billion of inflows from BlackRock. That's really good. But 22 billion outflow, constant outflow from Grayscale. That was a big theme all of like last year. That's why we couldn't see Bitcoin rise above 73,843 anymore. They're doing the same thing with Ethereum. Like these guys never learn. Grayscale also outflowing Ethereum all the time. In total, they outflowed $4 billion worth of Ethereum. BlackRock, on the other hand, has bought it to balance it out, $4 billion as well in Ethereum. So if we're getting a Solana ETF as well, what do you think Grayscale is going to do, right? That's the only reason why I'm not really in favor of Grayscale filing for these ETFs, because they're just going to sell off and suppress the price, which is annoying. And last bit of news is Pump.Fun reintroduces live streaming for 5% of users. Remember, they took away that feature after a lot of rug pulls and all that stuff, and also some illegal activity. They reintroduced it only for a certain amount of users, featuring industry standard moderation system and transparent guidelines. There you go. You can now stream on Pump.Fun once again if you're a verified user or something. I don't know. I don't know what the requirements are. I'm not interested in it anyway. But yeah. Cool. No current entry conditions for any trades that I can do. I did explain that yesterday's trade failed miserably, so that's something I'm going to have to write down over here, and then I will end the stream for tonight. It closed April 4. It's my first trade in April. It is. Wow, I waited 4 days of no trading. We opened this at 82,000. We were opening a short. I don't know what to do with this strategy anymore. Like, is it really working out for me? I shouldn't doubt it, though. I just have to continue following it. $7 in fees. Stop loss triggered. My balance is 4,459. It's just declining every time. Hey, who knows? I thought this morning, by the way, that this was actually going to be a victorious trade because I went to sleep over here and I woke up when I saw the price over here at like 7 a.m. And I'm like, oh, look, Bitcoin, I bought it at what, 83,000 and it's 81,000 right now. That absolutely hit a take profit. I was kind of happy in the morning, but I didn't check my phone. I didn't check anything until afterwards. I didn't realize that we actually had a pump over here. And then this drop happened thanks to China. So, I mean, it would have been a take profit, I'm pretty sure. I'll redraw the trade just to give you guys an idea as to where it could have been. I don't remember where the take profit was. Or maybe it would not have even hit. I hope it didn't. It will make me feel a little bit better. We draw a short position over here at right there probably. Stop loss would have been... It was like in between these two candles, right? You draw it specific. It was like in there. I remember that. Now from here, 1 to 3 risk reward ratio. Oh no, it would have hit. Would have hit. But it went against me first, and then it dropped. Yeah. Yep. Couldn't do anything about it. It's fine. We're currently in no position to enter any trends, any any entries right now, right? We need a golden cross first, or Bitcoin's price to go below 83,000 again to start looking for shorts, which I kind of disagree with, but we'll see. Tomorrow's going to stay flat, probably around this zone. Wouldn't expect too much from Bitcoin, so yeah, keep your eyes peeled for what other governments do. I heard that France is trying to cook something up with the European Union, and so is Germany. Germany, something with... They're going to remove their gold that they have held in the U.S. treasuries, something like that. But yeah, that's all the news that we have for today. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. I will see you tomorrow with any news that I could scrape from the bottom of the Twitter barrel. All right, take care.